Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, I'm Kerry L. Watt and welcome to the show. So I was reading recently on Forbes that craft supplies are sold at more than 75,000 retail outlets. There's 90% of the industry sales are still being made in brick and mortar retailers. And apparently its market size is around $36 billion. And the CEO of the Association for Creative Industries said that the largest percentage of their crafters in the world are millennials at 41% of the percentage. And apparently millennial parents are getting involved in kids' crafts because they see that crafting as a way to bond with their children. Now, my guest today has some fascinating insight into crafting and the world of entertainment. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Please welcome Phillip Craik to the show. Welcome, Phillip.
Hello, Kerry.
Hi. So what do you think about that percentage of crafters? So like 41% of crafters are millennials. Would you agree with that? What does that sound like to you?
Well, yes, I think the millennials are grooved into the current way of thinking in a way. It's like we're talking about sustainability, we're talking about plastic recycling and all this kind of thing. I think people are a little bit more aware of what's going on and are generally interested in crafts. And yes, it does help for bonding as well to do these things with your children or the whole family. So, yes, I think there's a lot of also in things like Etsy and not on the high street. There's a lot of people involved in that as well who are millennial type people.
Absolutely. And I think the whole it hasn't got, I don't know, you kind of see people doing crafts or knitting, and it used to be like, oh, that's boring, or that's, for older people, or that's not for me. But it has just kind of become really cool. Like I read something someone posted on social media yesterday about they were doing some work in Starbucks, and they were just sat there drinking their coffee, and apparently two really cool young girls came in, nose piercings, really cool outfits, these awesome like young people. And apparently they sat down, got their coffee and got out their knitting stuff, right? And I was just like, oh my god, that's awesome. And she was just like, obviously the post was brilliant. It was like, this is awesome that young people are doing this. And I just think it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yes, and actually the children, there's a lot more things like fads coming out, aren't there, where you're making little designs of things and they come in and out of fashion.
So the reason I wanted to talk to you about this today is because obviously you have the most incredible business, and I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about Origami.
Okay. Well, the idea came to me when I was working in South Korea. I was a preschool teacher, and I was looking for something to do with them, which was origami related, and because obviously that's a big thing in Asia, really, the whole of Asia. And so I started making these three-dimensional, what they call rabbit heads, and I made them into Pikachus from origami, and they absolutely loved that lesson. And even months afterwards, they would come in and want more made, and so forth. We were making them in all different sizes, from ones which were bigger than them, to quite small ones. So it that sort of got me thinking, well, maybe there's something here. We were drawing on all the faces rather than having them printed. So I was thinking, okay, if something like that was printed, surely that would be something that people would be interested in.
Absolutely. So the idea just came from obviously the traditional origami to just kind of just taking it yourself and just going for it, I guess. Like you say with the Pikachu, I love that. I think that's brilliant. You just thought you'd put your own spin on it.
Yes, exactly. And it grew quite in a potential that it could be. There's obviously, you've got the sort of the characters of animals. You can change the shape of the ears. You can have them even made from photographs. And so it's like there was such a range of possibilities I saw the potential that it could actually be something that a lot of people get involved in.
And you must be quite creative to do that, because I love doing stuff like that. But I have to say, I love instructions, right? I'm rubbish, like, if you just kind of give me some stuff and I have to make it. But like, I love following instructions. So like, you must be quite creative to just kind of make all these new things and come up with new ideas, right?
Well, yes, from a very early age, I was drawing, and my dad was teaching me perspective when I was about, I don't know, 8 years old. And we used to do group family painting and things like this. You know, we'd all sit around a still life and do these things. But I was also very interested in science as well. So I combined the two in a way. You know, you could argue it's paper engineering.
It is. There's so much that goes into it, isn't it? For someone like myself, who could just think, oh, you know, it's just making some paper stuff. But actually, like you said, there's quite a lot that goes into it.
Oh, well, yes, it's a major art form in Japan. They call it origami.
Oh, do they?
Oh, yes, they pronounce it completely differently from us.
Oh, so we're just butchering their thing.
I think that started around about the 6th century when Japanese monks brought paper back from China, and they started making their own things. Of course, paper was very rare back then, and it was mostly done for religious ceremonies and things like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, paper was it's 2,100 years old, roughly, 1st century BC, and of course they made the sort of like the lanterns and things like this. Obviously, they were also folding things as well at that time as well.
And I wondered if you could tell us, I know you mentioned sort of about working with the preschoolers and things. I wondered if you could kind of tell us a little bit about your background, because it's quite interesting, and I'd love for you to share it with us.
Well, I graduated with chemistry art. I did art and chemistry at A level, and then went to university, and then I was doing geology and chemistry. And when I graduated from that, I started working at Brighton University. I was doing 3-dimensional design work, which is very new at that time. I then moved into engineering for quite a few years. I was working in places like LA and Mexico and all over the place. And then I made a decision around about 2000 to actually go into education, because I had started educating engineers. And that was my first job, was two preschools in Seoul, where I was doing arts and crafts. So it's something very completely different, but they are the two sort of big areas for me, is science and art.
Nice. And I love how you've put those two things together to create this. Well, it's not just a business, it's, you know, it's a whole movement, it's a whole big thing, isn't it?
Yes, no, I do see the way it will work for me as a business is that it has to be in huge numbers. And so I am really working right now to get export markets opened very rapidly using translated ebooks for my original publication.
And what is it about, because I know you really enjoy like entertaining people and making people smile. What is it about that does make you all warm and fuzzy inside?
Well, I've made these things, for instance, on commuter trains, and and when I start making them, you know, the people, you know, around me start, oh, what's that person doing?
Oh, I love that.
And they start, you know, they look over and they smile, and then I'd say, oh, would you like to know how to do it? And quite often they want to make them, or you know, if I give them one, they take it away and probably give it to their children. But it's amazing how quickly people can sort of like see something happening, and it's almost like magic, because I fold them in the air. I don't fold them on a flat surface.
Oh wow!
So I've got to that level of expertise, if you like. But you know, and you blow into the back of the heads, and they inflate, and that's like a sort of magic moment. So that's where people start to sort of like, oh wow, what's that? You know, it's something quite new and novel for them.
Well, it's kind of like a paper magic show, isn't it? It's like you've got the whole showmanship of what they're going to do, and then more people see it, so more people come over and watch, and then you go, and like you just said, if you blow into it, and then you're like, ta-da.
And some of them are sized for like finger puppets, so you can then put your finger in the back as well, and then have conversations.
Oh my goodness, I love that. That's so great. But that's the kind of stuff that people love of all ages. Like, yes, a finger puppet obviously is going to be really appealing to a tiny person, but like, I would love that. If I saw someone on the train just doing that, I'd be all over it.
Yeah, and I think there's a certain amount of therapeutic value as well. I'm trying to get a lot of special needs teachers and things involved in this as well, so it can help them. It has a huge potential, really, in terms of who could make use of these. It's not just necessarily people that are into crafts. I'm doing a series of cats and dogs as pets, so you could actually eventually have an app where you'll be able to take a photograph of your pet, and it'll make it into one of my designs.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Celebrities sort of interested, so that's how I'm sort of going to try and launch the app with some celebrities involved.
Ooh, are you able to tell us any more about that, or is it super exclusive?
Well, currently at Pinewood, there's a thing being filmed, which is the Cats musical.
Yes, I've heard of it. Yep.
And I have started approaching them about the idea of this. Whether it will ever get onto sort of like the Late Late Show, I don't know. But that could happen.
Let's do it. Let's get this show in front of the right people. I love that. And I know as well as entertaining and making people smile, you like to do things that are obviously good for the environment and good for the world as well. So like, how important is it to you, like the eco-friendly side of your products?
Well, obviously, paper is a finite resource in a way, because obviously trees are growing slowly and we use a lot of paper. But I always insist that any of my designs, they're made with either recyclable paper or FSE stock, sustainable stock. And also I use vegetable ink dyes as well, so that makes it more eco-friendly as well. But the whole sustainability thing is actually something that's quite big currently in business. There's been so many issues with things being made in sweatshops or unethical products or plastic is a big issue right now. And I'm going against that. And right now I'm talking to magazine companies about all the cover mounts, plastic cover mounts, stuff that they have in the front as gifts. And we've got a few companies right now interested in the Origami cover mounts for their magazines, which can also be made bespoke to their magazine as well. So I'm starting to sort of generate some interest there.
It's just so much potential, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, I guess the thing I'd love to see is it getting into the school system in a big way, like a fad with them, because they're literally things you could have in your pocket, and you could be folding them on the playground and giving them to people.
Yes,
I've had quite a lot of children, as I've been working in different schools, and they've all loved it. One or two struggle, but generally they get it very quickly. And once they made one of them, they want to make the rest. Obviously things like dinosaurs, but also when I get into things like DreamWorks and Warner Brothers, I'll be doing designs for them. So things like, I'm trying to think of things, like some of the movies that come out, like Ice Age and things like this. I can do
Yeah, I love that. I just think it's so much fun. And what sort of age kids are we talking about? Who would it be aimed for?
It's a various range really, but I think with assistance, someone from maybe as young as 5 could start making them, and when they really get familiar with it, they could be quite expert. But I think probably a better sort of age is sort of like 6 to 7. But then I've had A-level students, sixth formers, having great fun in making them. And there's also actually origami clubs in some universities. So it actually has quite a stretch. And then, of course, a lot of mummy bloggers, they've done it with their whole family. So it's kind of like the grandparents are there and they know how to do it and everything else. So it's nothing really. There's no real person that couldn't actually engage in popagami.
Yeah, I love that. And I know in the intro when I said sort of about parents getting involved in kids craft, because it is a good way to bond with kids. I have to say that I'm a parent. I have a tiny human. And I have to say it's genuinely one of my favorite things is sitting at the table. We've got some, snacks and cups of tea and beverages of and then get all the stuff out, like whether that's magazines, like cutting, gluing, paper, it is just so fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's the creativity. We're all mad for creativity, aren't we? It's there's the music makers, poem. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
We are the music makers. We are the dreamer of dreams.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Love that.
Music makers is kind of like any sort of art form, really, in a way.
Yeah, and I have to say, my son is 4, and he's better at it than I am. So, thank you so much, Philip. It's just an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Is there anything else that you feel is important for people to know that we haven't covered?
Well, one of the big things I'm doing from a business side of things is I'm trying to move into what they call the blue ocean. I don't know if you're familiar with that term.
No, tell us.
Well, basically, where all the fish are, the businesses tend to be, close to the shore, but the blue ocean is out in the wild ocean. There's not much competition, as you understand, and the sharks aren't around that in that area.
Oh, nice! I like that.
So that sort of blue ocean move for me is very much a digital move. So I've been talking about downloads and ebooks and apps and things like this, which are more available through the internet around the world. And one of the big things I want to do is to actually get a lot of my designs over to developing countries where children have almost nothing in terms of things to play with. So that's how I feel I can make a big contribution on a global basis.
Yeah, and I love that. I always really, really love it from a customer point of view. Is seeing when companies do that. So it's not just about selling the product; it's selling the product so that then they can help other countries or help other people in different way. And I think that's really special. I think that's something that people really resonate with, isn't it?
Oh yes, I think so many businesses are now realizing that the ethical side of their business is actually very important. And when you hear about all these scandals, it just puts you off those people.
Well, thank you so much for sharing popagami and sharing, about you and being here today. How can someone that wants to find out more hear about popagami and Phillip Craik and how you can help them?
Well, there's a website, which is popagami.com. There's also Not on the High Street, and then that's a /popagami. Popagami is POPAGAMI, and that's obviously made of the two words pop and origami, and so that's how the name came together. But also there's a Facebook page. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, Pinterest, and other media platforms. So you can also see it if you typed it in on Amazon. You will get it as well. So it's quite a widely available. Just if you just search popagami, you'll see loads of different things.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Philip, and thank you everyone for listening. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.